All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome. We are thrilled to have you with us today for today's webinar, Discipline of the Body, Obedience of the Mind, Wyoming Catholic College's Remarkable Education. We're joined by some wonderful guests from Wyoming Catholic College, located in the breathtaking mountain town of Lander, Wyoming. If you're new to WCC, you're in for something truly special today. Wyoming Catholic College is committed to providing a Catholic liberal arts education, offering a curriculum focused on the great books and with a spectacular outdoor leadership program. It really makes them stand out. Today, we will have a lively discussion about the life of a Wyoming Catholic College student, opportunities for you to visit, and a taste of some of the themes and characters that their faculty and students will be discussing with their founders, scholarship competitors later in February, including Genesis, Plato's Crito, and William Faulkner's barn burning. But let me allow them to share their story. As we always begin our events at Colby, let's start with a prayer. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. All glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. St. Maximilian Kolbe, pray for us. And the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to our friends from Wyoming Catholic College. Catherine.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Josh, and thank you for having us. I really appreciate it. I'm Catherine. I'm so glad that all of you are here with us. Thank you so much for taking some of your time to listen to what we have to say to you today. I'm from South Carolina. I did Colby K through 12 all the way through, so Colby alum, also a Wyoming Catholic College alum, and now the director of admissions at Wyoming Catholic College. So I'm excited to tell you some things about Wyoming Catholic today.
Awesome. Yeah, my name is John Walsh. I am an admissions counselor at Wyoming Catholic College. Originally from Northern Nevada, grew up there my whole life, and I've now spent about 5 years here in Lander. Recently graduated just this past May from Wyoming Catholic College, and really excited to share with you all this education that I love so much today.
Yes, hello, I'm Dr. Virginia Arbery. I've been teaching here since 2013 after teaching at several other Newman schools. My field is political philosophy and literature and rhetoric. And the work that we do here attracted both my husband and me to pursue the life of the mind with bright faculty. They were our first draw. And secondly, the students, because without a good faculty, you don't have a good student body. And the curriculum fosters both a good faculty and a good student body. So we love being here, and I'm looking forward to introducing you to some of the works that our prospective scholarship students will be reading to discuss in the Founders Scholarship Program.
Wonderful. Thanks, everybody. We're very happy to have all of you here. Now let's dive into our topic for today. So today's topic is Discipline of the Body and Obedience of the Mind, Wyoming Catholic College's Remarkable Education. Okay. And as a reminder, all of our attendees today are in listen-only mode, and we encourage you to utilize the Q&A and chat module of the webinar to ask questions as they come up. And our team will be available to answer those questions during and at the end of the session if we have any left, as time permits. And with that, I'd love to pass the torch on to our wonderful guests from over at Wyoming Catholic College.
Great. Wonderful. Thanks so much. So I would like to just begin at the beginning. So just so that you know where we all are, at Wyoming Catholic College, we are here in Wyoming. Lander is just about at the O in Wyoming there. And Lander is a little town of 8,000 nestled in the valley next to the Wind River Mountains. Beautiful, quaint mountain town. Lovely, lovely place, great to visit. Great. The population triples in the summer because so many people come through, especially for 4th of July. It's a beautiful place. So this is the first place that you come when you come to Wyoming Catholic College. And when I first arrived as a student at Wyoming Catholic, the first few days I spent taking some wilderness first aid classes. I packed my bags up. I learned what I did need and what I didn't need. I met some of my classmates, and then I went out into the wilderness for a 21-day backpacking trip with about 10 classmates and 3 instructors. That's freshman orientation at Wyoming Catholic. No experience necessary. I'd never done anything like this before I was a student at Wyoming Catholic. And we teach students all of the tools that they need to live in the wilderness. And so we learn how to navigate with map and compass. We learn how to cook and sleep and stay warm, how to build shelters, and how to really live and thrive out in the mountains. So this whole 21-day trip, we're learning so many different skills, so many tools, so many leadership skills. The goal of it ultimately is really to immerse students in the beauty of God's first book. So we call this God's first book, the first thing that he created for man to enjoy, for man to be in and learn from. So we spend 21 days out there in the wilderness, just in awe and admiration of the beauty that God created for us. We learn lots of practical skills and really learn how to, as the title of our presentation suggests, discipline the body. And in this way, we grow in practical wisdom. So the goal of everything that we do at Wyoming Catholic College is really to pursue wisdom in all aspects of our lives, body, mind, and spirit, in every different portion, every moment that we are awake and breathing. How can we pursue wisdom in this way? So in the wilderness, we learn how to pursue that in a really practical way. So I'll tell you a little story that I think really just makes this point very clear what I'm talking about. So on day 12 of my backpacking trip, my 21-day trip when I was a freshman, I was in the Absaroka Wilderness. This was outside of the Grand Teton National Park. It's some of the most remote place in the lower 48. The closest road is like 30 miles away, and there's nobody there. We'd seen maybe 3 people the whole trip up until this point. So we're going along. It's day 12. We've sort of learned a bunch of our skills. We're feeling more and more comfortable. We kind of know what we're doing. And we happen upon this cabin in the woods. This is very surprising. There's nothing out here. So we were really surprised by this. And as we come up to this cabin to see what's going on, this old man comes out to greet us. And he's just a cowboy, if there ever was one. He's wearing a cowboy hat. He is wise and quiet and wrinkled, and he has one hand in a sling. And he comes up and he just introduces himself to us and starts showing us around. His name is Val. He told us to call him Uncle Val. Now, this is a man that spends 4 or 5 months out of every year living out in the mountains, and he's taking care of horses and living out there by himself, doing everything that he needs to live a fairly comfortable life in this beautiful, vast mountain range. And so he told us a whole bunch of things. He told us about what weather to expect in the next few days. He helped us find a trail that we had lost the day before, and we were a little bit out of sorts and wondering where the next place was. And he told us exactly where those trails diverged and where we missed it. And he told us all of these really practical things about the wilderness. He had hurt his hand because he had been mending some fence and somehow hurt his hand and bandaged it up himself. So this is just a really wonderful guy, Uncle Val. He has so much practical wisdom of the wilderness, of the mountains. That's the kind of knowledge that we're pursuing at Wyoming Catholic, the kind of knowledge that is really inside of us. So he didn't need to go do any calculations or or listen to what other people were telling him about the weather, for example. He knew, because of all of his experience there, what to expect and how to live well out there. So in the wilderness, we're pursuing this kind of practical experience. We're immersing ourselves in the awe and wonder of God's first book and practicing a lot of leadership experience and growing in the moral and cardinal virtues. So we do this throughout our whole 4 years at Wyoming Catholic. It begins with a 21-day backpacking trip, and then we go on many more trips throughout the whole 4 years. In January of freshman year, you come back for a week-long winter trip. You go cross-country skiing and build and live in a snow cave. It's called a quinzee. There's a picture of the students piling up the snow to build the quinzee. And digging that quinzee out was one of the most fun things I've ever done in my whole life. So much fun. Also very warm, for the record. Very, very warm. Snow is very insulating. And then over the course of those 4 years, you spend at least 7 more weeks in the wilderness doing all sorts of different things, from rock climbing and caving and rappelling to canoeing, rafting, all sorts of outdoor sports. So we were really pursuing this practical wisdom in the wilderness, and we also take that into the rest of our curriculum. So very much connected to the outdoor program is our horsemanship program. So every student also learns how to ride a horse at Wyoming Catholic, and there's a whole semester program during sophomore year where you learn all of the basics of how to take care of and ride a horse, and it's really fun. And there are a lot of really good reasons for this. Because we're in Wyoming is one, because we're studying Western culture, that's another. Western culture took place on horseback. And because again, it's a immersion in the cardinal virtues, learning how to really have prudence and justice with this animal. So we begin with this immersion in the wilderness, in practical wisdom, and then we go into the classroom, into the rest of the curriculum, which is the bulk of our education, to pursue intellectual wisdom. So we do this primarily through our Great Books curriculum and the seminar method. So as Colby students, you have some experience already with the Great Books. This is the best of what has ever been thought and said throughout all of history. And I was very grateful coming to Wyoming Catholic that I had dipped my toes into the Great Books already when I started as a student. So I was starting to read these things for the second time and already had a little bit of a taste of what that experience was like, which was really helpful from my time at Colby. So just like if I wanted to know about the Absaroka Wilderness, I would ask the wise man, the Uncle Val, the one who had the experience. So in this way in the curriculum, we're asking all of the big questions of life, and we want to ask the wise man. So that's who these great authors are. And we're led through that conversation with our faculty, who are also further along on this pursuit of wisdom than we are. So we do that by reading the primary sources, Homer and Virgil and Dante and Boethius and Shakespeare and Euclid and many, many, many others. And we do that in the seminar method. So we sit around, the students all sit together around a table and are expected to have read the text and have questions and thoughts when they come to class already. And our professors lead our students through that discussion to really ask the big questions and pursue answers together. So you can't just sort of sit at the back of the classroom and watch the teacher as they sort of dump information onto you, but you have to really engage with the text, with the question at hand, with the conversation yourself. So we do that studying theology, humanities, philosophy, math, science, Latin, art, music, writing, rhetoric, and all of these things are in an integrated manner. So every single class takes into account the other things that we're studying at the same time. So we're trying to pursue wisdom. That's one thing, one united, integrated thing. It's not wisdom, just kind of this kind of wisdom and that kind of wisdom that don't have anything to do with each other. And so in that way, our whole program is really intentionally one integrated thing. So you can really tell that it's one pursuit of wisdom that we're in. So we pursue the wisdom of the body, we pursue the wisdom of the mind, we pursue the wisdom in the spiritual life and in all other aspects of our education. So our program is really steeped in a very rich liturgical life, and we have daily Mass and adoration and confessions. We have 2 chaplains at Wyoming Catholic. It's very unique, a Roman Catholic chaplaincy and a Byzantine Catholic chaplaincy. So we have the full liturgical life for both the East and the West. And our students get to immerse themselves in this opportunity, which is pretty rare. Not a lot of people have that experience. And then our students, I could talk, there are so many traditions, student life events, different things that go on at the college. I'll just mention a few of them. This is the East-West football game that happens every year. There are lots of bonfires and music and different clubs and drama clubs and choirs and lots of music at Wyoming Catholic on our campus. And all of those things are all united and integrated into this pursuit of wisdom that we're pursuing. So I really hope that a lot of you are really interested in pursuing that kind of life, pursuing the life of a wise man, and would like to come out and visit and get a taste of it yourself. So with that, I'll let John tell you how you can do that.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Catherine. Catherine gets to talk about the exciting things about who we are, and I'm on here to talk a little bit more about the practicals. Maybe you're intrigued by what you heard and you're wondering, how do I come to Wyoming Catholic College? How do I join this community? So I want to take a brief minute here to kind of walk you all through the application process, the admissions process, what that entails, and first off, kind of some important dates to keep in mind. First off, just every cycle, every admission cycle, we officially begin reviewing applications on September 1st. So you can begin applying earlier if you'd like in August, but we're not going to start reviewing applications until the 1st of September. And then we really try to get everyone to finish their applications by November 15th. This is kind of our early application deadline. And if you get all your materials in by that date, by November 15th, you will receive a decision from us before Christmas, and you'll have priority access to the Founders Scholarship Competition, which we're going to talk more about later. But other than these dates, our admissions, we operate on a rolling basis. This means that we review and render decisions on applications as they come in. We don't just release one huge batch of decisions. We're viewing applications, reviewing them as we receive them. And so obviously we're looking at each application very closely, and we're discerning whether or not our applicants are going to be a good fit for our education. But there is an element of first come, first serve. We, as Catherine kind of alluded to, we're a very small, tight-knit community, and that's intentional. We want to remain small. We never want to become like many modern universities that are so big that they kind of lose their coherence. So every freshman class, there's limited spots, and those spots can fill. So we encourage applicants to get everything done as soon as they can. With that being said, if you're a senior right now and you're still looking at options for next fall, we are still currently reviewing applications. So I encourage you to start an application, or if you've already started one, to finish one. Just bear in mind that there is a kind of sense of urgency there because, yeah, our spots are filling up, and it's something that we want to keep small. And so we're unfortunately not able to welcome absolutely everyone who applies. But what this application looks like, I'll walk you through kind of the main components of the application. It starts with just an online application form, which is pretty standard, asking you to fill out your contact information, your family history, and to give a few short answers to various questions. We also ask all of our applicants to provide us with the contact information for 2 references. We would love to hear from 2 people, 2 individuals in a student's, in an applicant's life, ideally outside of their immediate family, who can speak to their academic and character strengths. We really want to get to know our applicants and be assured that they can handle the rigors of our academic program, but also just that they're ready, they're prepared to embrace the kind of richness of our community life. So those references are really important. We also ask for 2 major writing samples from our applicants. One, a more formal academic essay written about 2 to 3 pages, written in response to one of the prompts we have listed on our application page. We have about 4 prompts up there. And these prompts, they're not, there are specific questions, but they're not meant to be very particular or narrow. We really want our students to choose a prompt that they're passionate about, that they have strong convictions about, and we want to have them share those convictions with us. So this academic application essay is a great way to share both your writing abilities, but also demonstrate your ability to think deeply about profound questions. So we look at that very closely. We also ask a shorter essay from all of our applicants, a more personal statement of both your history, who you are, but ultimately why you believe you will thrive at Wyoming Catholic College. So this 1-page personal statement we ask applicants to submit with a little bit of background on who they are and what is drawing them to Wyoming Catholic. We also obviously ask to see all of our applicants' grades, both in terms of their transcripts and in their standardized test scores. So we want to see all transcripts, if you've taken any college courses, also your college transcripts, and either an SAT, an ACT, or a CLT score. And once we get all that, the final component of the application is an interview with one of our faculty members, one of our professors. And this is kind of the culmination of the application process, where you're actually having a conversation with someone who ultimately, if you come to WCC, will be leading you for the next 4 years. And you have that opportunity to kind of share both, your academic background, and the professor might ask some questions about your essay, about your transcripts. But also they're just going to ask you about yourself, and to share, who you are, why you want to come to Wyoming Catholic College, and really what you're looking for in your education. So we take all that into consideration. One thing I do like to stress about our application process, our admissions process, is that we really strive to be holistic in looking at applicants. We don't want to just boil down our applicants to a number or a few statistics. We look at the whole picture, and that's because, as Catherine was outlining, our education is incredibly unique in that it is incredibly well-rounded and integrated. There's so many different things that are going into forming a Wyoming Catholic College student. And so our applicants, we're looking to find individuals who will embrace the fullness of that curriculum. And yes, they have a great academic background, or are strong in their academics, but also they just have this, this passion for learning, passion for growing. And when people ask me, that's actually what I say is the ultimate prerequisite for our education. We want students who are on fire for the truth and who are convicted to learning for learning's sake. And if you demonstrate that in your application, we know that you're going to do very well in our education. So that's a brief overview of the admissions process. Another major question that's probably on a lot of people's minds in terms of how do I get here is the cost, how much it costs to come here, and how we help out with the financial aid situation. So up on the presentation board up here on the right, we have kind of a breakdown of our costs per year. I do want to just preface my statements with a comment that is kind of personal, and the reason that I love being here as a student, but also why I love working for the college so much, is that it's very evident that I'm constantly surrounded by people, by faculty, by staff, by students who are not in it for the money, who are not seeking profit. And all that we do, we're not trying to, extract as many dollars as we can out of our students. We're ultimately a mission-based institution, and we're deeply convinced of the good of the education we're providing, and we ultimately want to make it affordable for everyone, accessible for everyone. So yeah, we do have unavoidable costs as an institution in the modern world, and our students have to contribute to those, but we're ultimately convicted to making this education accessible and affordable for just about anyone we deal with. So total cost of attendance per year, it's broken down there with about $27,000 of tuition per year, about $11,000 in room and board, and about $2,500 in books and fees. That all comes out to just over $41,000 for the whole package, and that includes a full set of books for that semester, for that year, and any outdoor fees that you might accrue for that year and the outdoor trips. Now, that $41,000 number, it can seem like a lot, and it's kind of intimidating. But a few things to point out about that is that's just about the cheapest number you'll see in terms of Newman Guide private Catholic institutions, where we're on the lower end. And as the slide points out, just about 98% of our students don't end up having to pay that full amount. We're very generous in our financial aid. And we give out financial aid through a series of kind of tiers at each level, helping our student body. First thing that students typically receive, as they submit their application, they're automatically considered for our merit-based scholarships. So we look at the students' high school GPA, their test scores, their admissions essay, their interview, their kind of whole application, and we award, based on all of those things, pretty generous scholarships that are renewable every year, so long as you maintain a certain GPA. So for 4 years, if you present a really strong application, you can get a great scholarship, and that can take a huge chunk off of the overall cost. Another thing we offer on the merit-based side of things is our Founder Scholarship Competition. Again, something we'll get into a little bit more in a minute here. But that actually, the winner of that competition receives a full tuition award. So that can bring down the cost of attendance pretty significantly. But if there's still some sort of gap between what we're asking from the student and what the student and the family can provide, we try to bridge that gap with need-based financial aid. And that comes in the form of, first of all, grants that are donor sponsored. These are kind of credits to your tuition every year that don't need to be paid back. We're very generous in awarding those. A lot of our students also get a work study position on a need-based basis, where they get hired in one of the departments of the college for about 10 hours a week, and all of those wages go straight into tuition. So that's a great opportunity. The work study program is great because, yeah, it takes off a good amount from the overall cost of attendance, but it also gives our students, actual workplace experience. Maybe they're working for admissions, they're working for the administration, they're working for the outdoor program or the horsemanship program or the cafeteria. They're ultimately able to kind of pick and choose where they work, and that allows them to build up actual experience in these various departments. Finally, if all that's put together, there's still some sort of gap between what the parents and family and students able to pay up front and what's required. We do allow our students to take out loans. We don't want this to be the first step. This is kind of a last resort for us. We don't want our students to sign up for, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of loans. We think that's a bad idea. So it's definitely something we try to minimize, but it is something that's available pretty readily for our students and families. We do not accept federal funding at Wyoming Catholic College, so our loan situation is a little bit different. It's not the FAFSA loan system, but we do partner with a whole series of private financial institutions and banks to provide our students with loans that are at pretty comparable interest rates to the FAFSA program. So all that being said, just threw a lot at you guys, but ultimately the big picture is that putting all of these different things together, we ultimately find that we can make things work for just about anyone. And we definitely, we're working with students on a case-by-case basis in our financial aid. It's not, a very generalized system. It's definitely something that's focused on the individual. And so we always encourage people to apply and not be turned away by the cost. Finally, I do just want to share with you all some opportunities for visiting Wyoming Catholic College. In your college search, even if you don't end up coming to Wyoming Catholic College, whatever college you're thinking of going to, it's absolutely crucial to visit, to see things for yourself, to see things with your own eyes. And so, yeah, with our very unique program that integrates a lot of different aspects that, maybe at first glance don't quite go together, it's especially important for people to visit, to see our students in action, to see the classes, to go on the outdoor trips. And that's when our program really begins to make sense. So we do put on some great events every year for students to come out. Kind of one of the highlights of our visiting events is the Peak Summer Program. This is happening in June, 2 sessions. It's a 2-week program, so either the first 2 weeks of June or the second 2 weeks of June. And in this 2 weeks, it's essentially 2 weeks of everything WCC. We try to, it's open to rising high school juniors and seniors, and we try to kind of give them a taste of everything at our college. So Peak participants, they're taking classes, actual classes with our faculty. These are seminar discussions on a whole range of topics, ranging from, the literature of ancient Greece all the way up to the, arguments about the morality of abortion. It's really a broad range of topics that our faculty are discussing with the Peak participants, and they're getting a taste of the profound academic inquiry that's going on every year here at WCC. Peak participants are also getting a taste of our community life. The whole program is put on by current students, and Peak participants are going swing dancing, they're playing intramural sports, they're hanging out with current students, staying in our dormitories, they're taking part in our chaplaincy with daily mass and frequent adoration offered. And in general, they're getting a taste of the richness of our community. And obviously, they're coming out to Wyoming, so they're taking part in our outdoor program. The Peak program has, almost every afternoon, there's an opportunity to go out and do something in the outdoors. So they're going rock climbing, they're going rappelling, horseback riding, hiking, and actually all Peak participants end up going on a 4-day backpacking trip in the Absaroka Wilderness, which is an awesome experience. As Catherine mentioned, it's one of the most remote wildernesses in the US. And our Peak students are out there for 4 days. So all that, it's a really comprehensive view of Wyoming Catholic College. The total cost of the program is $11.95, and that covers room and board and all the activities. So that's already, for a 2-week kind of blast in Wyoming, that's already a great deal. But if you all sign up on or before March 1st, you're able to receive our $300 early bird discount, which brings it down a lot. And also, everyone who's part of this webinar and all Colby students are eligible for additional $100 off the Peak first session of Peak with the code Colby100. It's up on the presentation board. So with those 2 discounts, for me, honestly, it's really a no-brainer to come out for Peak to learn more about our school and to have a great time in Wyoming this summer. If you can't make it for Peak, or if you want to visit during the academic year, we also offer frequent visitor weekends or open houses. We had a really successful one this past October, typically happen 1 or 2 times in the fall. So keep an eye out for those weekends. They're a great chance for you and your family to come out, sit in on classes, stay with students in the dormitories, and meet with our professors and staff, learn more about our college. You're also, all students, all prospective students are welcome to come out pretty much any time during the academic year. They're welcome to sign up on our website for a personalized visit, fill out a form with their travel information, and we welcome them to campus. They can come on and audit classes, stay with our students, and get that firsthand view of Wyoming Catholic. For all of these visit opportunities, including the Founders Scholarship Competition, we offer a $1,000 campus visit credit for seniors. So if you come out to visit for Peak or for a visitor weekend or for the competition, you automatically get $1,000 off if you enroll for the upcoming academic year. So that's kind of an incentive we came up with to kind of defray the costs of traveling out to Wyoming Catholic College. It more than covers travel typically, and it's a great credit to get just for stepping foot on campus. Last thing I want to talk about is the Founders Scholarship Competition. Dr. Arbery is going to talk a little bit more about the content of this competition. I wanted to share a few details of it. Practically speaking, this is a scholarship competition we have every spring. It's open to all accepted students, and yeah, we welcome our great accepted students to come out and spend a weekend with us competing to show that they embody the spirit of our founders. That's why it's called the Founders Scholarship Competition. Our 3 founders, you can learn more about them on our website and our history, but ultimately the founders of Wyoming Catholic College were men who were deeply convicted, deeply devoted to the whole person pursuit of the truth. And we're welcoming all of our accepted students to come out, to spend a weekend with us, to audit classes, to take part in seminar discussions with our faculty, to write a timed essay. All of these things are chances for them to show us that they embody that same spirit and are going to contribute to our community and reinvigorate it as our founders ultimately founded this college. So yeah, the winner of that competition gets a full tuition scholarship, and I'm here to talk a little bit more about the theme of this year's founders and the content, the readings for that competition is Dr. Arbery.
Thank you, John. Thank you. I learned so much about the details from listening to you. And thank you, Catherine. I've taught both Catherine and John, and it's been a privilege to do so. I want to follow through on that wonderful narrative that our director of admissions provided of Uncle Val having a place in the wilderness and being confident about where he is and being willing to help those who aren't confident in negotiating that new and barren and gorgeous territory. And it made me think, Catherine, of Our Lady Seat of Wisdom, to whom our college is dedicated, and the fact that she is situated, right, and in such a way that stability and wisdom is all in that place where she is with our Lord as infant on her lap. It's a great image of what I'm going to talk about, which sounds very boring, but which is really at the heart of the readings that we have selected for the Founders Competition. Place, where you are, where you belong, who's above you, who's beneath you, who's equal to you. The whole question of place, of course, dictates whether we obey or whether we command. And I think discerning the difference between when we should obey and when we shouldn't is really at the heart of many of the social issues of our day, many of the issues that deal with life or death, which deal with where we stand in relation to other people in our lives, but also where we stand as a people in relation to other countries. So we've chosen a set of readings where place is at the heart of interpreting these readings. We start with the Genesis story, the very difficult Genesis story of Abraham covenanted with the Lord, being asked to sacrifice his only son at the command of our Lord. And we look at that reading with a kind of sensitivity to detail that I know I've never done until we chose it to read with our wonderful founders participants. And the question, of course, comes there is, should he obey? How can he obey? With what kind of attitude must he obey? And I'll leave that to the founders competition to determine. We move from there to a very strange story, a story about a ragged, underformed little 10-year-old boy who has a father who, for lack of a better term, is probably the prototype of the terrorist. He's a barn burner. He's one of those sharecroppers who follow in the wake of a terrible civil war where the South is constrained to turn their plantations into farms run by often very poor white people. And this father of the boy takes out his kind of vengeance on where his place is, which he doesn't like, in relation to those above him, by burning their barns after he works as a sharecropper on their property. And the boy feels this terrible tension of the attachment that is deeper than anything we know of blood, that in relation to a new experience he has of beauty, which changes his life and makes him unwilling to participate in the horrible deed of conflagration that the father wishes to effect against the owner of the farm. And so there we have a story of disobedience to a father figure, not to the Lord, but which results in his questioning the whole world that he's come from and the world that he might have if he were in a different place. And we end with another story, which of course, some of you who have read the great books know, Crito, where Socrates is wrongly condemned by his city to drink hemlock for having questioned the gods of the city and corrupted the young by doing so. And this is a set of false accusations. And his neighbors, who are ordinary good citizens, want to spring him out of jail before he has to take the hemlock and die. But he refuses. And in a very interesting dialogue between the philosopher and his neighbor, good man, we find the terms of his disagreement to have life and to continue the philosophic questioning that he's done, but preferring instead to obey the laws of the city, even if the judgments of the city are wrong. And so here we have the civic order in contest with the good man, and sometimes the good man is in conflict with citizenship. But in this case, Socrates decides to be the good citizen, even though he's actually superior to the city that he's obeying. So all these three stories then are discussed in a seminar method. I'm not very good at the seminar method, I have to admit. I like to talk too much. Catherine and John can tell you, but the students do a great job. They just bulldoze into the material. They look at the text, they give citations. And though they've never met each other until they come for Founders, they do a wonderful job of listening to one another and continuing the thought of the previous student, building on that thought and then leaving a space for the next student. So I'm always edified by our wonderful Founders participants, as I am by our students who can do this so well. And then they also get an opportunity to write. And I want to emphasize something that maybe might add to that beautiful presentation of the wilderness experience that Ms. Mershon gave you. And that is that it's in the act of writing, not just in speaking and seminar, but it's in the act of writing that you really own your understanding. And you also own the wilderness, because you not only go into the wilderness, you have to write about it in a semester-long trivium class in which you're giving form through language to that which you've experienced. So you can ooh and ah and say, wow, was that gorgeous, all you want. But unless you can convey that in such a way that it becomes accessible to those who are not privy to that experience, you haven't really owned it. So the act of writing here is very important. Other great book schools, and I love them all, don't emphasize writing so much. Other great book schools don't emphasize speaking so much. By that, I mean not seminar, but giving speeches. So being able to turn what you've cared about into something persuasive to people who don't care about it. That's how you become a leader, right? All that practical wisdom is going to go nowhere unless you can share it and change the world to restore all things in Christ, which is our mission. So I want people to come to Founders because I want them to see the school in action and having a piece of that action yourself, placing yourself within it will give you a chance to make the right choice as you place yourself in the next 4 years and get your education. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Arbery. I just wanted to mention one other thing about one of our participants asked about our grade, what grade you have to be to come to Peak. And I just want everybody to make sure that they know that it's for rising juniors and seniors. So current 10th and 11th graders are welcome to come to Peak. And again, we have a special promo code for Colby participants for that $100. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have more questions about that.
There's another question that came through on they were interested, they'd love to get a sense of what it's really like to be a student on campus and like a typical day, you know, and how far that you guys are from town. What does that look like?
Sure. Shall I? Okay, I will. Yeah, so at Wyoming Catholic, we are in town. So that wonderful little western town of Lander in the Valley of the Mountains is our campus. So all of our campus is in a couple central spots in the town. And so you really get the experience of both the wonderful college life and also small town Wyoming. So our students participate in different things in town and interact with the townspeople on a regular basis, which is also a really unique opportunity. So a typical day, usually there are 2 or 3 classes that you might have every day. And our classes are either 50 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes. And we have different opportunities for divine liturgy in the morning, mass at noon, adoration most afternoons, confession most afternoons, and meals, of course, all throughout the day, and then different sort of student life events that happen regularly throughout the year as well. So we have at least 4 different distinguished lectures that go on that the whole campus comes together for every year. 4 different dances that are the different classes, the freshmen, sophomores, juniors, seniors take turns putting on for the whole campus. Weekly swing dancing, weekly intramurals, choir practices, and
Faculty dinners. We have the students over quite a bit in our homes. That's really important to us to have that intimacy. Excuse me for interrupting.
yeah, huge. Yeah. Yeah, especially for big feast days and different things like that. Our students often go participate in those things with our faculty, which is a huge blessing as a student as well.
For those that are preparing for the Founders Scholarship competition, do you have any advice on preparing for that? Any best ways to approach the discussions and the essays, etc.?
I would say, if I could just start to answer it, but then please add what you should. Sometimes the students come in with a ready built-in argument, like they have their cannon loaded and they are ready to go forward and take over. And it's better just to pay attention to the details of each selection, to really work through the images as well as the logic and coherence of it, instead of coming in with your Summa Theologica on the side and your Aristotle on the other side, as if that we're going to make them the authorities on the interpretation of the works we're looking at. So that's the only thing I would say. Sometimes it's a little overcharged on the part of the eager beavers.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would add, we give the reading packet out well in advance. So reading those readings over a few times and paying attention, like Dr. Arbery said, to the details is a great way to just get in the mindset, and to be thinking, have these things, the themes, churning in your mind. And then also for practicing, if you haven't had a lot of experience writing on a strict time schedule, I would say that is a huge way to help as well, is to practice some timed essays before you actually come and have to do that timed essay in 2 hours. So pick some kind of question or prompt, or have someone give one to you, or use one of the wonderful Colby essay prompts and write an essay in 2 hours, something like that. Yeah.
Someone asked just to get a little more detail on, like, how do you access Landers? Do you fly into Landers? Is there an airport there? Do you guys help with getting them picked up, etc.? What does that look like?
Sure. Lander is in the middle of Wyoming. The closest airport is 40 minutes away, the Riverton Airport. It's a little regional airport that is serviced by United, that you always go through Denver to get there. So that's certainly the most convenient way to get to Lander. Our students use that, and we encourage students to do that. Sometimes, depending on where you're coming from, it can be a lot more expensive. And other times, depending on where you're coming from, it's pretty comparable. But we also, to be able to, get everybody, we run shuttles at the beginning and end of every semester to and from Salt Lake City. So that airport's about 4 hours away, and the college runs shuttles to pick up and drop off students for those main breaks. Lots of other students love making huge road trips out of it. It's a blast. I'm from South Carolina. I drove it multiple times as a student across the country. And if you have the time for that, I highly encourage it because you can stop at so many awesome things along the way. So lots of people do that as well. Yeah, I think that's probably the gist. Anything to add there, John? I think I covered it. Yeah, great.
And then just if there's someone that's just really interested in taking the next step, what do you suggest for them to do? Reach out, give you guys a call, apply.
Yes, all of the above. Reach out. We can talk about your specific situation and how to answer all the questions that you have and give you all of the information that you need to be able to really make an informed and good and peaceful college decision. We're here to help. We all went through it, and I remember, and it was a crazy time for me. And so we really, really do love just talking with students about their particular situations and helping them through the process and determining if they are the right fit for what we have to offer. So please reach out. Please come visit. Please apply. Come to Peak. It's an awesome 2 weeks.
No, and it looks so beautiful. You know, if if I were to start again, you know, I would definitely consider Wyoming. I've got
That's
friends
so
out
beautiful.
there and they love it and they're never coming back. And it's just a beautiful country.
Yeah.
And with that, that wraps up our time with our guests today, everyone. We hope that you found that this webinar, you know, offered a lot of great information. And, you know, Wyoming Catholic College offers a unique and enriching option for our students looking to continue your journey from what you've received here at Colby with that authentic Catholic classical education. It's a great next step, going from maybe your home environment to the beautiful wilderness. And it really stands out in that way. And so again, if you have any further questions, don't hesitate to reach out to our friends over at Wyoming Catholic's admissions office. These wonderful people you saw today. And they're really here to help you discover, understand, and really see if Wyoming is the best fit for you. And for anyone who wants to revisit today's webinar, we're going to be sharing that recording with you, and you'll be able to share that and watch it again to get any more information you'd like. And other than that, just thank you for joining us today. We wish you the very best, and we hope to see some of you join the Wyoming Catholic College community. God bless everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Catherine, thank you.